So first of all, thank you
Yeah.
so much for accepting and making to this interview. I really appreciate
We're
it.
doing a favor for Praveen.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're
Um,
from? Yeah, let's start with it.
I have to take this slow. So my name is Chukwemeka Fortune Igwee. The middle name never applies. It's a Nigerian thing for me. Chukwemeka Igwee from Nigeria. I'm Igbo by tribe, but I grew up in Lagos. I was born in Lagos. And my background is in geoinformatics and surveying, which is just, I'm going to do the definition. Surveying is the arts and science and technology of identifying positions on, below, and beneath the Earth's surface. So it's more of an information science about the Earth.
But how did you get into this field after your schooling?
So after secondary school, which is what we call it in Nigeria, which is synonymous to high school in the US, or high school high school in in Europe, the rule is that you're supposed to take a UTME course, which is called Universal Tertiary Matriculation Examination, to enter the university in Nigeria. And we had choices to pick 2 schools for university, 2 schools for polytechnic, and 2 schools for college of education. You had to choose two. So it's a general exam we take throughout Nigeria.
Right.
All students who are in their final year in high school to enter the university. So if you don't pass the cutoff mark for the universities, you have access to get cutoff mark for the polytechnic or cutoff mark for colleges. So I chose two universities.
Based on the rank.
Yes, based on the rank, because universities is the highest in Nigeria, followed by polytechnics or monotechnics, and followed by college of education or school of specialized field. So like a school of methodology would be in the ranks between polytechnic and college of
similar
education.
thing in India. I just leave it right there. So people know it. So, yeah.
I had 6 courses to choose from, which was mechanical engineering, civil engineering, geoinformatics, urban and regional planning, building technology, and computer science. But I felt geoinformatics and surveying was the only thing within those 6 things that was connected to all of them.
So is it by your interest that you got into this field, or is
Yes.
it by the choice that you made after your mark and the ranking?
So
process?
I don't know how many people know Nigerian parents, but I was advantaged. I was advantaged to come from a home where I was obviously the last born, but my parents did not have as much formal education as me. But there's a chance that when your parents are more learned, it doesn't matter whether it's Nigeria, because I think I know parts of Southern Asia and Southeast Asia also have the same philosophy. It depends to an extent. So your parents may be too learned that they want you to follow the same path, or your parents might not be too learned and still want you to aspire beyond where they are.
Yeah.
So which causes them to now start forcing you into a direct career path.
Yeah.
For me, it was my mom and my dad had no issue with me choosing what I wanted. But what I wanted was almost handed over to me like by nurture. So I had family friends who were good at this, who were good at this. They were telling me surveying is nice. Choose it, choose it.
So you graduate from your college, from
Yeah.
your university?
Yeah.
And did you go into any sort of work? Full-time or part-time?
Yes. So after high school, and I moved to university successfully after staying a year at home, a year. 40, I did an internship 6 months. After graduation, then I got, I would say part-time job, 3 months. They were mostly contract-based job.
Right.
So 3 months, till I got a job which I was doing before getting the master's here, which was, I stayed there about 2 years, roughly 2 years, but I was full-time with them for about 1 year and 9 months.
1 year and 9 months?
Yes.
Okay. So at what point did you decide to go for a master's?
I would say different. It was.
So what's the reason behind it?
That's a good question. I decided to leave for a master's because, as someone who graduated then from geospatial science or geoinformatics and surveying, we were limited in what we learned in school. Yes, they did their best. They taught us backgrounds and basic of almost what we needed. But by the time you check, as of 2017 when I graduated, by the time you check on the prospect of the course, we found out that what we learned in school was just the
It's
child's
not
play.
relevant for the reality.
Yeah, it was the child's play. It was like a starting up of what our mates would have gotten somewhere else. So I felt I needed to know more, especially with the boundary between geospatial science and actual computer science,
Right.
which is I would say computer science in terms of programming. And after graduation, I noticed there were some things I didn't know. I was too limited in. So I decided to apply for the masters. Also, the fact that sincerely home was holding us back. I felt being in Nigeria held me back from reaching best possible versions. So first, it was more of we needed to close the, how do we call it? Close the skills I never had and things we were not taught, especially with applications to geospatial technologies, which was more shifting towards ICT than just the basic or backgrounds of geoinformatics.
So even
Scholarship.
before you started to apply for the masters, you know that you wanted to go via scholarship.
Yes.
Okay.
There wasn't money at home, so it was a must that I had to get scholarship. So I was
Okay.
not fortunate, so I knew I had to get scholarship. For me, it was English speaking at first, which was the UK, the US. Australia wasn't in the wasn't at the center of where I was looking for, and parts of Europe, but Portugal was not there. Sweden was very important. Sweden was very important because Sweden had a design like the Nigerian UTME where students, even foreign, international, within Sweden.
You started to apply
I applied.
everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I applied for.
Australia, Sweden,
No,
Portugal, UK.
Australia was out of it. I
Okay.
only applied for roughly 5, if I can remember. I applied for North Carolina, which is the US. Applied for, I told you that one, Southampton.
Yeah, in the UK.
In the UK, I applied for Sweden, Lund University, because you had to choose 3 schools, compulsory, 3 or 4 schools.
For a country?
For Sweden. They already had a portal where, even as an international student and you want to do a master's with them, you have to apply on a portal. I applied for Sweden, then I applied for Erasmus.
Okay.
Yep, then Erasmus, because I also wanted to apply to Netherlands. It was expensive, and they weren't giving full scholarship for the best school, ITC. From my own point of view, ITC was best schools in terms of what I studied, so they weren't giving scholarship. So I just had this limited one. North Carolina wasn't doing an application fee. Also, the problem with the US one was at then I never knew they were doing the graduate assistantship, which would have been nice for me to have done. Maybe I would have gotten it because most times for US schools, you need to not just apply, you also need to apply for graduate assistantship. That's the only way you could pay for the school fees as well as your accommodation. So that's got off. Southampton, I never got the scholarship because I applied for Southampton and got the school, but I didn't successfully get the Commonwealth shared scholarship because the Commonwealth shared scholarship was, it requires that you apply for a school first and put it in your application. So I didn't get the Commonwealth shared scholarship. For Erasmus, I got Erasmus, thankfully. So it was much easier to take Portugal.
Okay. So first you selected what course you wanna go with.
Yes.
And second, you filtered some universities that offers a scholarship. And
Yeah,
you started
full
to
time.
apply
Yes.
for that university and that.
Yes, with making sure that
How was the interview process? Was there any interview
No.
process for you? No?
No.
So you just applied and you got selected based on your records.
So I think everything was just working out as God's plan. Everything worked out smoothly because we had no interview. We just applied.
How lucky.
So we applied before January 15th, which is always the deadline. I think it still repeats till now. January 15th. And I got a notification around March 2018.
Okay.
2019
It came
saying
in a September intake, yeah?
yes,
Alright.
saying, oh, you got the scholarship, you have to follow the process. We'll be sending documentations to you as well as to the embassy, the same documentation.
Okay.
And that's how it was successful. It was actually only Portugal that everything
Offered you the
stuck.
full scholarship, yeah.
Yes, everything worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was the scholarship? Was it only for the tuition fees that
No,
they offered, or was it?
We were given easy access to accommodation.
Right.
But you pay the accommodation from your scholarship money. So we had both tuition paid and monthly stipend. We had around 150 per month.
150 euros.
Yeah, no, 1,150.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,150.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what's the
something.
duration of your masters?
It was 18 months because we had to reach the minimum of 90 ECTS, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
European credits. So
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. And what's this master's name again?
Yeah, the master's I got was Geospatial Technologies, University of. It was a joint, so it's called EMJMD, which is Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree for Geospatial Technologies. Combination of Universidad Nova de Lisboa, Universitat Jaume in Spain, and the University of Münster.
Münster?
Yeah, West
In
Rhine.
Germany?
Yeah, in Germany,
Right? Okay.
West Rhine-Westphalia.
So did you get to do an exchange program here?
Yeah, we were supposed to go in second semester, which was compulsory. So Munster is compulsory. We were supposed to go there, but the pandemic told us different.
Yeah.
So we did all the courses online. We also got our visas, but nobody left because of the issue. I think why Portugal's masters is quite interesting is the fact that you get to do your master's classes in the evening,
Okay.
starting from around 4:30.
Right.
So they do it like so that you could have finished work
Mhm.
and come. So I think most people would
Exactly.
prefer Portugal's classes if you work.
Right.
But one of the disclaimer we tell them is that don't forget your second semester is Germany. So you will never get the opportunity to do night classes. You have to do morning. If you get a master's here and you get a job, or you have a job and you're coming here, you should just come as normal and just speak to your office that if they could reduce your time from 8 hours to 7 hours so you could meet up with class and move on.
Okay.
It works.
And when did you graduate?
2021, March 15th.
March.
15th.
So it's almost at the end of the pandemic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fortunately.
Fortunately.
Yeah, the job market was better during that time.
Yeah, it was because when we met you, we were already working for Majorel. My classmate and I were working for Majorel. But the difficulty was that in geospatial science, it was difficult to get a job in Portugal.
Right.
Even though someone has told us that I think we were searching for jobs wrongly, but it was difficult because
Is it because of the language barrier that you faced, or
it was also because of the market barrier.
What do you mean?
So in terms of how well is geospatial known in Portugal,
right.
I would say it's the same as Lagos, Nigeria. So most of us, the plan was Germany.
Right.
The plan was Germany, but plans, as you know, plans change.
Yeah. Exactly.
Plans change. So for me, my first job was more of a back end. I would just say more of a
So how did you get? So you graduate from your masters in 2021.
Yeah.
So what was your first job after the graduation?
Yeah, first job was 3 months after difficulty with geospatial, after failings in some interviews. So the first job I got was Majorel, which was an IT outsourcing consulting firm. They were working for the Apple project.
Right.
It was more of a middleware. I like saying it's a middleware customer service role because we had the opportunity never to call. However, we also had the opportunity to do a little bit between insurance, claim, IT, and what do we call it, and regulation. So
Right.
my role was basically fraud analysis in terms of shipping and return fraud, speaking with the customer in terms of regulations within Apple of what they need to do or what they don't need to do. Then other ad hoc roles in terms of helping with the solutions team to help improve job processes within the outsourcing firm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the first job that you got into has nothing to do with the masters and the
No,
bachelor's.
he had nothing to do actually. But it's that, as they say, plans change.
In the first job, you worked for almost 1.5 years.
Yes.
And what's the second job?
The second job, thankfully, I just got is like a trainee role. It's IT consultant trainee, but it's more of which I told you about is more of offering the services of an ERP system to different customers based on their own work processes. We also try as much as possible to help them optimize the work processes to be more automatic without necessarily clicking too much or doing manual computations.
So what's your role in that?
So my role currently is being a junior enterprise solution consultant, where we try to see the customer's requirements, translate it into what the ERP system, in this case Odoo, can offer, and switch it up and help them improve their work processes. But over
So
the next 2 years,
between customers and the IT team.
yes, yes, yeah.
So what would you advise a beginner or a graduate? What skills would lead them to the first job in the IT?
It depends. So I would start with exactly what my brother told me.
Right.
So my brother said once when we were in, I think when I was my first year in school, that if you're doing a course that you can't see the IT using it, there might be an issue,
Okay.
especially in this generation.
Okay.
So if your job currently does not does not have an IT use, it's going to be a challenge. So I would say first, if you graduate from an not just any kind of job, and you need to move to IT, I would first say you need to make the internet your best friend. You need to understand how what you've done
Yeah.
inspires or can connect you to an IT job. Also, it will be very important that you know what you want, because which you talked about IT. IT is just like an envelope for what IT is. So there is a data analyst, there is a data scientist, there is a data strategist, there is a BI analyst, there's somebody in the cloud system, there's somebody in software engineering, which has its own place. There are people even in design, UX, UI, and are coming from the background of graphic design. So the point is, you need to know what you like more.
Right.
Do you like analysis, or you like programming, or you like processes? Because most times the guys who come from a processing background might end up loving data science and hate data analysis, because data analysis and data science are quite different, but they have a connecting factor. Also, a guy coming from graphic design might tell you he doesn't want anything to do with programming and wants to just move straight to UI UX and doesn't even want back end development. So it depends on what you like. Also, it depends on your background, because the truth is, we are, how do they say it, we're a product of our experiences. In this case, you're a product of what you did as a background. If your background had limited you to what you can't, and you're not ready to relearn, you might have an issue. So my area would be, my main advice would be, try to see where you are and where you want to be. What do you love? Improving your CV. I've been told that achievement-based CV works.
Right.
In the US, it's totally different, because I think I've seen CVs that are tax-based, but in Europe, you should make a balance between a tax-based CV and an achievement-based CV, so that they see more of an achievement. An achievement, most times you get the cue of an achievement when you see values. Then, as much as possible, you have to connect on every social media platform, particularly LinkedIn, then Twitter.
All right. Thank you so much for the time.
Say
I
good?
hope, yeah, that's a bit of German there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave a lot of information in this video. I
Mm.
hope this video gets out to the people who needs very much.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Ciao.